Picture this. You've got a house full of family for a long weekend, right? Everything is going great, having a blast, and suddenly, the shower drains start backing up. Or maybe you're just out enjoying your yard, and you notice this, well, highly suspicious, really foul odor drifting across the lawn. Yeah, it is the messy, incredibly stressful reality of a sudden plumbing emergency. Look, if you own a home on a septic system in North Idaho, dealing with the tank is just inevitable. But when the time actually comes to call the truck, a wave of anxiety usually hits right alongside that smell. You're thinking, what is this actually going to cost me? Welcome to this explainer. Today we are clearing the air, literally and figuratively. We're going to break down the real factors behind septic pumping costs, look at how to avoid those massive, scary repair bills, and I promise you clear, straight answers along the way.
So here's our quick roadmap for this explainer. 1. The cost question. 2. Factors affecting your bill. 3. The 3 to 5 year rule. 4. Warning signs. And 5. The rooter-guy's difference.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because this is the exact question pretty much every single North Idaho homeowner on a septic system furiously types into Google the second they hear a gurgling pipe. How much does septic pumping actually cost? Honestly, it's completely natural to just want a simple, flat-rate dollar amount. I get it. But as we look closely at the data from local experts, the honest truth is that the final cost depends on a handful of factors that most of us never even think about until the service truck is literally already parked in the driveway. Section 1. The cost question. Let's talk about baseline expectations.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the types of jobs are categorized. For a standard residential tank that's on the smaller side, you're looking at the lower end of that baseline cost. Pretty straightforward, right? But things change if you have a larger tank. Or, yikes, if your system has really heavy buildup because it's been completely overdue for a pump. Naturally, that pushes the final estimate a bit higher. And, if the technicians get down there and realize you need an add-on inspection or a filter cleaning just to keep your system actually safe and functional, well, that adjusts the price too. The bottom line? Exact pricing is always going to depend on a final, straight quote from the pros.
Section 2. Factors affecting your bill. Let's uncover those hidden variables.
You see, no two properties are exactly alike. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. First off, consider your tank size. Emptying a 1,000-gallon tank simply takes way less time and material than a massive 2,000-gallon one. Makes sense, right? Second, think about the time since your last service. If a tank goes years and years without being pumped, the solids inside become incredibly densely compacted. And breaking that up, that takes extra time and labor. Third is lid access. If your lid is buried deep underground, super hard to reach, or located really far from where the pump truck can actually park, you're definitely looking at added labor. And finally, location. An in-town job right in Coeur is a pretty quick trip, but if you live out in rural spots, say Spirit Lake, Priest River, or Athol, that extra travel time naturally has to factor into the overall job cost.
Section 3. The 3 to 5 year rule. This is all about long-term savings.
So the crucial point here is 3 to 5. For most households in North Idaho, the absolute golden rule of thumb is that you must pump your tank every 3 to 5 years. And hey, this isn't just some arbitrary number they pulled out of thin air. The exact interval perfectly depends on the size of your tank and exactly how many people are living in your home, adding wastewater to the system every single day.
Pumping on a schedule is incredibly cost-effective when you actually stop and look at the alternative. Think of routine pumping as cheap, essential insurance. It just keeps everything flowing exactly how it should. But the alternative? Drain field replacement. Guys, this is a catastrophic, massive financial disaster. Seriously, replacing a totally failed drain field can cost you many, many times as much as a lifetime of regular, scheduled pumping. It's really a no-brainer.
Section 4. Warning signs of failure. What to watch out for.
Please, whatever you do, don't wait for the calendar if your system is already actively talking to you. And by talking, I mean it usually escalates in gross, highly noticeable steps. Step 1, you'll start noticing drains that are slow all over the house, not just at one single isolated sink. Step 2, gurgling. You'll hear your toilets and sinks gurgling when you run the water. Step 3, those unmistakable, awful sewage odors inside your home or lingering out in the yard. And Step 4, standing water or this lush, unusually spongy grass right over the drain field. Look, if you're seeing several of these at once, a simple pump might not even be enough anymore. At this point, a quick sewer camera inspection can show exactly what is happening underground before you spend a single dollar on guesswork.
Section 5. The rooter-guy's difference. Time for some local expertise.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly who you want on your side. The Rooter Guys Plumbing playfully calls themselves number 1 in the number 2 business, which you gotta admit is pretty funny. But jokes aside, what really matters here is their expertise. They truly understand North Idaho's specific soil compositions, the fluctuating water tables, and those punishing freeze-thaw cycles that completely wreak havoc on underground systems. Plus, they're a locally owned company with decades of experience servicing properties across Post Falls, Rathdrum, Athol, Sandpoint, and way beyond.
But honestly, here is perhaps the biggest reassurance of all for any homeowner who's panicking on a Saturday afternoon. The Rooter Guys Plumbing guarantees straight answers and no surprises. They specifically note no overtime fees, so a weekend or after-hours pump doesn't come with the penalty. That is huge. If your tank backs up on a busy holiday weekend, you aren't going to be financially punished with crazy extra emergency rates just to get your plumbing working again. Talk about a sigh of relief.
Which leaves us with one final, very important question to ask yourself right now. When was the last time your tank was actually pumped? If you have to pause and think about it, or if you know for sure it's been more than 3 to 5 years, don't wait for that spongy grass and those awful foul smells. Take control of your home's health, keep your costs down, and consider reaching out to local experts like the Rooter Guys before your yard becomes a very expensive, very smelly mess. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, here is to keeping things flowing smoothly.